Hi, John. Thanks for coming on to the Bowls podcast. Really delighted that you've decided to come on and be my first guest.
Thanks, Don, for having me on and for the first podcast. And I hope we don't make it your last.
Hopefully, no. When did you first start playing and how did you get involved in the game?
I started bowling in the late summer, August of 1976, and I started bowls by a pure fluke. I was a social member at the Old Hendon Club, which also had a very strong and successful snooker session with 6 top snooker tables and a separate bowl section. Anyhow, during the heat wave of 1976, a lot of the bowlers listening to your podcast probably weren't even born then. A couple of mates of mine left the snooker hall, went outside because it was so warm. We were going to have a few pints and sit in the patio, and it so happened that night was the bowl section roll-up. And we were having a good laugh watching these maniacs running up and down the bowl screen, shouting and bawling at the bowls, some of the antics of the bowlers. Anyway, we were spotted laughing, and one of the good bowlers, an ex-policeman and a lovely guy called Jack Rowley, came over and said, "Why don't you lads have a go?" And we said, "No thanks, Jack, we're just ready to go home." But a few minutes later, he a couple of sets and bowls in front of him, a spare ring, and said to us, "On you go, and you can play with your socks on." So eventually, to humour him, we went on the green, not knowing anything about bias, jack lengths, how to throw the jack, how to place the mat. But anyway, we sort of put the mat down where we think it should go, etc., and threw the jack up. But having watched the bowlers that night, one guy seemed to me to be really sticking out, getting his bowls close. So I copied his delivery, and with a few tweaks over the years, I've kept the same delivery ever since. That guy was Fred Jeffrey, who eventually became a Middleton Cup and England selector. So that's how we started. So after a few wrong biases, etc., I thought I could get the hang of this game. But I had to buy the mandatory brown shoes, grey slacks, white shirt, and started to go out and practice every evening after finishing at the office. Used some spare bowls, and that's how I basically started. And incidentally, Jack was reprimanded by the bowls committee for allowing us onto the green improperly dressed. Bowls regulations, as you know, back then were ridiculous, and thankfully the dress code has been relaxed.
And what was the bowls that you first started playing with? Can you remember?
Well, there was an old guy in the club, Alfie Gentry, had watched me practicing a few nights. They were tailors. You know, tailors back in those days, of course, there was no coloured bowls. There was either brown or black. There was Henselites, tailors. But now, you know, they get such a variety of bowls with different biases, etc. So I just get used to them, the size of the bowl in my hand. I mean, I've not got the biggest of hands, but I started playing with fives, which I found out later. And I played with fives for many years until probably 2 or 3 years ago, I thought, no, I need to drop down to fours. And that's what I play with now, size fours. I play with arrows indoors, aces outdoors. Sorry?
Quite a big difference then in the actual bias of the bowl now.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, the narrow running bowls now, but I did notice, you probably watched the World Indoor Bowling, that all the top bowlers are playing with big swinging bowls. Now, whether that's surface, but certainly at Century, you have big swinging greens, or rinks rather. But it was a fluke how I started, and my first game ever was nearly my last game, because my first game for the club that year was in September, away to North London on a Sunday afternoon. I was excited about getting picked and set off with my wife Monica wishing me good luck. But I did not realise that at bowls there was a serious entertainment and drinking after the game. I got home that night at 12. Monica saying to me, "Surely these games don't last that long." The best advice I got at that time was, if you're serious about bowls, John, get the wife involved. Really did.